Okay, this is going to be a double reaction video, but I think it's going to be very interesting, especially for Canadians, as this is America's largest online streamer in general, especially on the leftist side. But this is Hasan Piker, who streams on Twitch, and he's reacting here to a video called Why Living in Canada Has Become Impossible. So it'll be very interesting to see what his point of view is. I mean, I don't agree with Hasan a lot, really at all. Actually, he's very left-wing, but let's see what he says here.
This apartment is 750 square feet, and I pay $4,300 a month.
Bro, this is a joke country, and it's the same in America too, man. The Western world is so dumb. I gotta get the door, but before we do that, why live?
It's worse in Canada, though. Canada, basically almost the entire country in Canada has home prices approaching provinces like Massachusetts, New York, but we do not have the economy of those places. There's like tweets I've seen recently. Canada's economy, it's true, it's like Alabama's or approaching like Mississippi's economy, but our home prices are like California, New York. It's ridiculous here. It actually is significantly worse. Our housing crisis and our productivity crisis is much worse in Canada than it is in the States. And the States has a problem.
Living in Canada has become impossible.
I was skipping meals because I was struggling to afford
the skyrocketing cost of living.
I was skipping meals because I was struggling to afford my food and my rent.
2 million Canadians had to use the food bank in 1 month alone.
No wonder crime is rocketing after 8 years of Justin Trudeau.
Canada is worse than you think. Just 2 years ago, a simple 2-bedroom apartment in Toronto cost on average 2,400 Canadian dollars. Today, that's 3,300, an average increase of 25% per year. And that's not an outlier.
I just found out my rent's gonna be increased from $2,100 a month to $2,400 a month for a 1-bedroom condo in Toronto.
In most Canadian cities, you would need to earn at least double the minimum wage to afford a 1-bedroom apartment, and you can forget about buying. In major cities like Toronto and Vancouver,
I don't even know how that double the minimum wage is not going to get you a 1-bedroom apartment. If you don't eat, maybe. I don't know what that little piece of data was.
Minimum income that's required to qualify for a mortgage is double or triple the median household income. This makes buying even unattainable.
You know why, chat? Communism. Chinese communism. Yeah. Everybody knows that's how it works. Please do not look at home ownership rates in former Soviet Eastern Bloc countries. Don't do it.
For the top 10% of earners, there is a housing crisis, a cost of living crisis, and now even an immigration crisis. This is a real change from the Canada I know and admire. What has happened?
Is he eating a Pop-Tart? What is it, 1975?
It's time for a change in this country, my friends. A real change.
This is how living.
Oh my goodness. That didn't happen. I mean, it did. The change was much worse.
Living in Canada became impossible with hindsight.
Canadians from all across this great country sent a clear message tonight. It's time for a change in this country, my friends. A real change.
Justin Trudeau was first elected in 2015 with a message of positivity.
This is what positive politics can do.
He built his campaign on hope, and the media...
God, there's a lot of people that...
I really don't know. Like, things were pretty good in 2015. I don't know what... I remember my hairdresser in 2015 was explaining to me how we need this massive change in Canada. Most people in the country could afford life, could afford to eat. I think a massive reason, I think why he lost back in 2015 was... Stephen Harper, the incumbent, was accused of being like an Islamophobic person. So I think Trudeau kind of ran a lot on that. I think that was pretty effective too, which, yeah.
Say, oh, what about a Pete Buttigieg presidency? What about a Gavin Newsom candidacy? Look no further than this dip if you want to understand what that looks like, okay?
Often drew comparisons with Obama in the United States.
Did Hasan just call him a... So Hasan doesn't like Trudeau. I kind of expected Hasan to be trying to defend Trudeau. Like I said, Hasan's like incredibly left wing.
Look no further than this dip if you want to understand what that looks like, okay?
Often drew comparisons
Wow, Hasan, that's actually surprising.
with Obama in the United States.
I want to say this. Many of you have worried that Canada has lost its compassionate and constructive voice in the world. Well, we're back.
On his first day in office,
I mean, that is just, in hindsight, this channel I think is actually called Hindsight. That is so cringe in hindsight, though. Virtue signaler in chief. Like, oh my goodness. Canada's paid so badly for just that attitude of let's just be friendly, and like being friendly is fine, but oh my goodness, did we ever take that to an insane extreme?
he entered a Montreal metro station to take selfies with commuters. The exchange went viral. The atmosphere was exuberant. There was a feeling of hope and positivity. Trudeau had the second highest approval rating of any new prime minister in Canada's history. To understand how his approval ratings have turned around so dramatically, why Canada is in a housing crisis, a cost of living crisis, and most surprisingly is now struggling with immigration, we need to go back in history. Canada is a nation of...
Our population growth in the last year was over 97% from immigration, only like 2.5% from natural increase. That is incredible. And again, like, we like immigrants in Canada. Most people do, but we have gone way off the deep end with that.
Immigrants. In the mid-1800s, the population of Canada was almost entirely concentrated on the east coast, along the St. Lawrence River and the Great Lakes. To its west and north lay a vast and sparsely populated area that they wanted to populate. They used immigration.
Hasan's not even talking. Like, I haven't watched this yet, but this guy got this is the poster child for just running YouTube videos, eating Pop-Tarts, and then monetizing it. Like, I could see why some people would not be that fond of Hasan's channel. He's said like 3 words. He's just sitting there making money off this.
As a tool to build their country. They attracted new people with a comprehensive marketing campaign. Build your nest in Western Canada was the message, calling it the new El Dorado. Boatloads of prospective migrants arrived in Canada and were vetted by migration.
Bro, you can't be like, please cover Canadian politics, and then when I cover Canadian politics, as a Canadian, I'm ashamed you're watching Canadian politics right now. Please look away. Don't worry. Under the Trump protectorate, we will invade and annex Canada permanently. Fear not, Canadians. You will get a healthy dose of that free market principles in terms of your health care that you yearn for. Albertans will be thriving. Albertans are going to be like, oh, hell yeah, finally we're a part of America. We no longer have to LARP as Texans. We can now officially move to Texas instead.
Officers. They were particularly eager.
That was just like a low IQ take. I don't think Hasan is a particularly smart person, even on American politics. He just gives this sort of extreme left talking point type stuff. I mean, if you watch him in a debate, he generally gets smoked. I don't even know what he said there. Like, I was hoping that he was going to provide more of his point of view. He's just eating Pop-Tarts.
To attract talented farmers. They could help Canada's westward expansion by settling uninhabited areas. They built villages and turned them into cities, attracting commerce and industry, over time strengthening Canada's grip on the West. By 1920, population centers had emerged all along Canada's southern border.
Yeah, a land without a people for a people without a land, uninhabited. That's crazy. Famously, nobody was there. Nobody was there after we were done with it, but...
Border. They grew...
I don't really know why this video is even going to this history lesson. I think this is totally irrelevant. Just skip to 1980 or something. Like, it's not irrelevant. It's not really, I don't think, in like the scope of what you're trying to talk about right now. I don't need this history lesson on immigration into Canada. I don't think it really helps this video.
From 3 million inhabitants.
That's pretty cool, dude. Canada, America's hat, doing America shit all the time, but gets away with it because America's so much worse. Large portion of Alberta is American descended or straight up burger. They want to be burgers so bad.
To 9 million. These immigrants were selected on merit, but also on race.
Canadians, apparently, like in Hasan's chat, like trying to say Alberta is cringe, are ridiculous. Alberta, the rest of Canada benefits so much from Alberta. Those equalization payments, especially Quebec. But yeah, Alberta has the strongest. Like, if you look at the amount of all of our provinces in Canada compared to all the states, Alberta is about 14th if you rank them all. Like, it's Massachusetts, New York, a bunch at the top, California. Alberta is like 14th. BC, or Saskatchewan rather, is about 25. And then all like the massive East Coast and BC are like 40. Like, they're like around Mississippi level. 55, 47, whatever it is. Ontario, Quebec, and British Columbia. So you can try to rip on Alberta, but Alberta is just objectively doing better, more productive, and the housing crisis is not as bad in Alberta. Like, I think Alberta, if you just going on economic data, which we're doing in this video, Alberta is the best province in Canada. At least the best major province that's like a large place. Maybe people in Prince Edward Island are having a great time, but it's not a massive population.
Canada wanted to maintain the status of a white man's country. But after World War II, these discriminatory practices came under scrutiny. Canada started to build its modern immigration system. This was based on a points system. Prospective immigrants were scored based on their age, education, training, and language skills. The basic philosophy is that immigrants are selected based on their merit and what they can contribute to the country. This system is still in place in Canada today, making it the oldest immigration system of any country in the OECD. An early challenge was that an increasingly large percentage of newcomers were family members. In 1971, economic migrants made up 73% and family members 21%. But a decade later, this had turned around. Family members were seen as unproductive consumers of welfare benefits, and this prompted the government to make entry requirements stricter. By 1995, the percentage had dropped to 36%. Canada vested a lot of power in the federal executive branch of government, which makes it possible to respond quickly to unwanted flows of migrants. They kept identifying weak spots and making...
Is this what Hasan does for a living? What has he contributed to this video so far? This guy is rich. If you don't know who this is, he's probably worth upwards of 10 million or more dollars. He's not saying anything. He's just watching YouTube.
Improvements.
When did the Ukrainian Nazis get there? Brother, their points were through the roof. You would get extra points if you were anti-communist. That's how it works. And who better?
And by the early 2000s, the system was hailed around the world as one of the best. Even Donald Trump had good things to say about it.
Nations around the world, like Canada, have a merit-based immigration system.
But what was most impressive were Canada's exceptionally high levels of public acceptance. Immigration, until recently, wasn't a controversial issue. In 2018, 2/3 of Canadians believed that immigration was a good thing for their country.
This is true. Like, my entire life in Canada, there was not even really a debate about this. Everybody was pro-immigrant here. Like, again, there was no debate. America, you'd see the debate in America about immigration, maybe because they're like, they have more of a climate, more people want to move to, or they just have sort of like the land of opportunity, the American dream. Mexican immigrants coming over the border from South America, stuff like that, have to get through America first before they get to Canada. I'm sure that's part of it. Just like a little bit harder of a journey. But this is true. Like, the immigrant discussion in Canada is so new, and it's because it has gotten way out of control here.
Highest level of any country in the OECD. But that wouldn't last.
Canadians are almost universally positively inclined towards immigration. We know that immigration is a source of strength and resilience and growth for our communities, and that's a wonderful thing we should be very, very proud of.
Public opinion on immigration has shifted dramatically during the last years, from people feeling
Look, Trudeau took advantage of our positive views to immigration. I don't even know how you say it other than that. The country has changed so much in recent years. We've had way too much immigration. It's not fair to the immigrants. In Toronto, our largest city, 4 out of 5 newcomers to food banks are people who have been in Canada for 5 years or less. How is that fair to those people? Those people clearly did not move to Canada thinking they're going to be using a food bank. Like, this is just, it's so tragic.
Overwhelmingly supportive to most people feeling concerned. During the first 4 years under Trudeau, the population grew at a record pace, mostly because of immigration, and it slowed during the pandemic. And that's where the problem started. Canada was facing a host of challenges. One of them was a shortage of workers. There were difficulties in all major sectors, from construction to healthcare. Companies were just unable to find the people with the right skills.
It's simple to me. Canada needs more people.
This was the new Minister of Immigration.
Canadians understand the need to continue to grow our population if we're going to meet the needs of the labor force.
Fraser, like many before him, saw immigration as a tool to fix specific issues. The worker shortage, but also demographics.
You know, immigration in Canada is not just something that we do, it's who we are. It's who we've always been.
All across the Western world, the population is aging, and that is an issue. But in Canada, it is extreme. In 1971, there were 7 people of working age for each.
And look, the Mark Miller, I believe, he's like he's a top official in the Canadian government, kind of brought this up recently, but there was never even a public discussion that I ever saw in Canada about dealing with our fertility crisis. Like, other countries have this problem too, but we have not even had that conversation in Canada at any scale whatsoever about why people aren't having children here. Our fertility rate is down to like under 1.3, way below the replacement rate of 2.1. And there was just the obviously the decision was made, let's just have way more immigration. We've never even had that discussion. Why aren't people here having children to the rate that they need to replace our population? Certainly, probably the reason, or at least a major reason, is because it's so expensive in most of the country.
Each senior. In 2012, this was down to 4. The projection is that there will only be 2 workers for every retiree by 2036. The number of Canadians that are over the age of 75 will double over the next 2 decades, while fewer people are entering the workforce.
If we don't do something to correct this demographic trend, the conversation we're going to have 10 or 15 years from now won't be about labor shortages. It's going to be about whether we have the economic capacity to continue to fund schools and hospitals and public services that I think we too often take for granted.
This inspired a radical new immigration plan. In 2022, Canada had set a record population growth, and they announced to welcome 465,000 permanent residents in 2023, 485,000 in 2024.
Hasan doesn't talk. This is so disappointing. Say something, dude.
And 500,000 in 2025.
And we are staring at one of the greatest economic opportunities of our time when people around the world are looking to move, and Canada has become the world's top destination for people who are thinking of leaving their country of origin to pursue economic opportunity elsewhere.
They saw immigration as a race for global talent, and they had every intent on winning. Their target was to have economic migrants make up 60% of newcomers, an ambitious goal. And they particularly targeted workers in sectors with the highest demand, like healthcare, skilled trades, manufacturing, and technology. But when these plans were announced, immigration offices were already 2 million resident applications behind on their work, and there was already a shortage of housing.
When you talk about the housing crisis that we're facing, which we are facing, one of the limits on creating more housing is the challenges on having enough construction workers.
But Trudeau and his cabinet members saw immigration as the solution, not the problem. And in 2023, Canada's population grew with the fastest rate in almost 70 years. This was the fastest growing population of any country in the OECD. More extreme voices like the Century Initiative lobby to grow Canada's population to 100 million by the end of the century. The plan was endorsed by a former prime minister, and lobbyists included several advisors to Justin Trudeau and his cabinet members.
We have a
Now this video is getting interesting, at least. I didn't know this. This is quite interesting. I didn't realize even that 2023 was that much of an increase over the other years. I knew I knew things were going up, but that's incredible. 100 million, wow.
Population that is aging. We need people to arrive with their talents, with their hopes, with their dreams, with their capacities to work hard, to build our communities, to build our future.
Public opinion was shifting. Whereas in 2022, 27% of people believed that there was too much migration to Canada, in 2023, this was up to 51%, and in 2024, to 58%.
All right, well, behind me is the Take Back Canada March against mass...
That's crazy. That's only 58 still. Like, that's crazy.
Immigration.
In July 2024, there were protests.
A lot of disaffected Canadians here who feel like the government has not been listening to them.
This was an unusual sight in Canada.
And what happens to the election in 2025? Is mass immigration going to become the main issue in the election, or are politicians going to try to run away from it like they seem to be doing right now?
In 2025, there are federal elections in Canada, and Trudeau might lose his seat.
2 broccoli heads was $11.44. $11.44 at Save On Foods in Langley.
That's wild, isn't it? Broccoli, $12.
Like, we have a serious problem here in Canada. Just came to $218. How?
The government likes to publish figures that show how the economy is growing. This is technically true, but the growth is primarily fueled by a growing population. Per capita growth is down.
That's a cherry pick, though. That would be like a bump, a bounce back from the pandemic. 2.1% economic growth. That is not a trend in Canada. We would be so lucky if that was true. It has not been growing for that at that rate under the Trudeau government, for sure. Not even close.
Down, along with individual living standards.
This apartment is 750 square feet, and I pay $4,300 a month.
People are...
Bro, this is a joke country, and it's the same in America, too.
Finally, you talk, dude.
Man, the Western world is so dumb. Like, that's it, dude. Just housing. Just fix housing. That's it. You fix housing, you will win forever, okay? Please, like, one industry should die. Just one. I know that the Democrats are so and the liberals in Canada, or not the liberals, what's the Justin Trudeau's party? Is Justin Trudeau's party the Liberal Party? Is that what it was called? Oh yeah, I forget that Canada is too close to America. Normally in European countries, the liberals are the conservatives, but Canada is too close to America, so that's why they still call themselves the liberals. They do have NDP though, yeah, but NDP also has a litany of different issues, and are too invested in aligning with the liberals. Okay, listen to me.
He's actually right about that.
It's free. It's free 99, dude. One of these industries has to die. Okay? It's either in America, it could be healthcare, like insurance. It could be housing, real estate developers and the like, and big renters. It could be college, like something. Okay? Something's got to give. You got to be like, listen, we're going to keep getting donors from every other industry, but this one industry we have to cut. We have to cut them from the coalition of corporate donors and fix it. That's it. And same in Canada. Any party that just goes, nah, like, I'm fixing housing, let me at them, they will win forever. Mexico.
But this is obviously Hasan's worldview, that you just take housing and basically nationalize it. I don't think that would work. Maybe in theory it would work, but I don't trust that would be any better at all.
Goes all in on housing, 1 million new homes, 0 interest mortgages. Okay, dude, stop. Yes. I feel like hella Latinos are going to be like, oh, I'm going to Mexico. You don't have to deport me, I'm going. Yeah, me right here, sir. Deport me to Mexico.
They're working 3 jobs just to live in this city. It's actually crazy, and they're still struggling to pay their bills.
There is a clear mismatch between how fast Canada's population is growing and how long they need to supply housing and service infrastructures like healthcare and schools. This affects all layers of society, but this is most acutely visible in the cost of housing.
Okay, we need to talk rent increases because this is getting out of hand.
Would you pay $800 a month to share a bed with a stranger? That's what this Vancouver listing is offering.
That's, oh my God, amazing.
The most vulnerable people are people with little to spare, like students. a story broke about 25 students that were living in one basement in Brampton, and it went viral. The mayor of the city responded that they've seen cases like these on a regular basis.
Like this landlord who's renting out 6 beds on the floor with dividers between them for $325 each.
I have heard this. I didn't know 25, but I've heard lots of stories like that.
Number of temporary residents, which includes temporary workers but also international students, have increased dramatically. In 2022, they numbered 1.4 million, and in 2024, this had doubled to 2.8 million. Public opinion had now turned against Canadian immigration policies, and for the first time, it had become a controversial topic. Trudeau, with elections coming up, needed to act.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is promising a massive federal program to deal with the housing crisis in Canada.
So today, we are releasing the most comprehensive and ambitious housing plan ever seen in Canada.
He put Sean Fraser, former Minister of Immigration, in charge of housing.
I know we're going to solve the housing crisis because I know what Canadians are capable of.
These decisions were vilified in the comment section on YouTube. It's crazy that people believe the guy that got us into this mess is the guy that's gonna get us out. Too little, too late. You cannot be the solution to the problem you created.
The reality is different parts of the country have seen different challenges. In addition to population growth,
Dude, it's the same story every single time, dude. It's the same story. No immediate fixes to the housing shortage. No controls whatsoever to a massive material harm that people are experiencing. And then you're like, oh, but we also need migrants to come in so we can, have more labor force, which is understandable. There's a normal desire that every country has. That's what has kept America alive, okay, as well. So then people go, oh, it's the migrants' fault that I don't have a home or my housing prices are so high. Oh, it's the same in Europe. It's the same everywhere. Every single Western capitalist nation has gone through this exact same problem. The more people suffer financially, the more they feel like their nation is no longer prosperous, the more there is income and wealth inequality, the angrier they get. And what's the easiest vector to get that anger out on? Is people that don't look like you. It's people that you're kind of primed to hate anyway. Great stuff. 1 million Tyler Veras for every Western nation. So much sentiment that Indian people are responsible for rising housing prices.
Man, I don't think it's that. It's just there needs to be more houses and more affordable groceries and stuff like that. I don't know what like that. I'm not surprised that Hasan would have that take. Just ridiculous. And the other thing that Canada struggles with that America doesn't to a large degree, our economy is very flat here. America still has a bunch of companies that are doing very well, that can put out a lot of jobs, hire lots of people. Canada has all these problems and a pretty flat economy, and it's been flat for a long time. So even if you have expensive homes in Canada, if you have some people at least earning enough money at a high-paying job, they can afford them. That story is getting more rare and more rare in Canada. So many people in Canada have to just hope they have rich relatives, or they're like, a lot of them are totally priced out.
And it's turned into this racist crusade against Indian immigrants. Oh my God. Tyler Oliveira watching and is on his way to Canada by tomorrow. Yeah.
I just don't like people can't afford stuff. That's way more the problem than Indian immigrants.
The town that Indians took over, just going up to Indians.
This is just Hasan's it's just easier than looking at the numbers for Hasan. I think that's my take on this.
Canadians and being like, do you speak English? And everyone's like, yeah. He's going to have a dude with a Toronto accent and he's going to be like, I need an interpreter to understand what you're saying. I'm cheesing, fam. India's national language is English. That's the joke, man. That's the joke I'm making. You are repeating back to me like he is racist, so he thinks brown guy doesn't speak English, when in fact, most Indians do. God damn it, dude. Excuse me, sir. Have you ever considered that jokes, especially because of my inability to understand them, can come across as reactionary. Bro thought jokes would fly. Yeah. Sir, have you ever considered that maybe jokes are ableist to those who are neurodivergent?
There have been supply chain constraints that have driven up the cost of building. We're trying to address a 30-year lack of investment in affordable housing, and we're soon going to hit a bottleneck with the productive capacity of the Canadian workforce to build the homes we need.
Fraser is in an awkward position. Perhaps letting in 9 million new Canadians before homes were built for them had a little to do with this problem.
Yeah, everyone is like, nah, it's the migrants, dude. For sure. For sure, dog. Yeah, no, the housing situation was totally fine. It was so good before the migrants came in. Like, all of these landlords were so gracious. Yeah,
dude, it was pretty good. Like, Hasan is such a bot. Oh my goodness, dude. This is why he's not really, you can't really say he's in the Democratic Party, but I can't believe this guy's so popular. He just doesn't want to even think about the math. I don't think the number 9 million even clicked in his head. He's just going to go straight to, oh, people are just saying that blah, blah, blah. They're brown people and we're offended by that. It's that people can't afford to live. Literally, like, it's way worse in Canada than America. And he's rich. He's obviously disconnected from that. Whatever, you can still comment on this. It's fine. But people in Canada, they can't afford to live. Like, they're so priced out of the market. It is ridiculous. Again, basically, in our massive population centers of Ontario, British Columbia, a lot of Quebec, we have basically the economy of the worst state in the United States, something like Mississippi or Alabama, but we have the housing costs of a New York or a California. That's the problem. It's not that people have a sentiment toward people with a different skin color. This is such a person that lives in a rich house like Hasan, who's just lazy. They're going to come up with this ridiculous take. This is actually disappointing. I didn't think it would be that good, but I thought he would have some better takes to contend with than that.
I don't know who sent this video to me, but this video is a little bit of a slant. And I don't personally like the slant that this video is giving me.
Oh my goodness, dude. What a hack. What's the slant? Again, this is the way Hasan's talking is the way you can talk when you're rich and these problems you're just disconnected from. I don't know how this guy's so popular. Because obviously a lot of people watching him are not in his position financially. How do you watch that and not pull your hair out? Like, dude, just talk about the economics of the situation. I don't know who linked me this video, blah, blah, blah. What a clown.
A majority of people now disagreed with immigration policies. They were angry and frustrated by the cost of living crisis, and immigrants felt that they were unfairly portrayed as the cause.
Like, for example, housing in Canada is up double since 2015. Double. That's the problem. So and he says, oh, it was so good before. Yeah, it was way better than it is now. You at least had a chance. You could earn a decent living, get a couple of promotions, meet a partner, a woman or a man, combine your salaries and have a great shot. That is just like a pipe dream for so many Canadians. That's the problem. And it was better before.
The problem.
This is the sentiment of every single Canadian, by the way. Ugh, I know. It's everywhere in the Western world, man.
Dude, Hasan, you stink. You suck, actually. You are this is... That's where he takes this? People listen to this guy? Oh my goodness.
Everywhere in the goddamn Western world.
It's not about that. The video's not about that. It's like, this video's been going on, I think, for 10, 15 minutes. He's been talking about basically just immigration trends and math almost the entire time. There's maybe 5 seconds of people putting up Canadian flags and protesting. Is that what triggered Hasan?
Check the YouTube channel. This dude is obsessed with immigration being out of control. Who the f this goddamn video to me? Someone in the chat sent this to me a couple days ago, and they were like, you have to watch the video. It's so good.
Miscalculated the...
Man, Hasan. Hasan, go to Ontario. You smug smug prick. I can't believe he's this out of touch, actually. That's where he's taking this? People, the part about 25 people living in a basement, Hasan doesn't care about that. He cares about, don't be xenophobic. Don't be blah, blah, blah.
How much immigrants they want. They miscalculated how much housing they have, how much they could accommodate over here.
This guy's pissed too. This is the guy that Hasan thinks that random people in Canada are against or something. This guy doesn't sound thrilled about either, and this guy's completely correct.
And now they are blaming all it on us.
Except for that part. Is that like, again, oh man. That's, I just totally disagree with that. That people are blaming this on those people coming here. I don't really see that. People are blaming it on the economic reality. There's not this massive group of people that are upset about the immigrants. And if you're saying that's true, that's a farce, I think. There's crazy people in every movement, but it's totally unfair to just brush all this off like Hasan is doing. What he's doing is incredibly unfair. To just brush all this off to some type of anti-immigrant sentiment. People want to live a life, dude. People want to own a home like you do.
Trudeau's approval rating dropped in September 2024 to just 33%, and only 26% favored him as the Prime Minister. He had to turn this around.
Bonjour tout le monde. Good morning, everyone. In a moment, Minister Miller will be detailing our immigration plan.
The thing is, I think Hasan has a lot of, like, he has a very global audience. He's very popular. He probably knows. I bet you he's so audience captured that he's got a, like, incredibly politically correct, woke audience that just any subject around immigration, it's probably just triggering his fans. Like, he's maybe getting chats like, oh, this is so bad. This is triggering me, blah, blah, blah. That might be it. He might just be trying to save face. I don't know. I do think he actually believes what he's saying, though. I will say that.
Plan.
Based on like the somewhat, I maybe see him in 5 videos. I think this is in line with what he talks about.
Before he does, I want to say a few things. Canadians are justifiably proud of our immigration system. It has made our economy the envy of the world. It's how we've built strong.
That's not true. America's the envy of the world. We are not the envy of the world. We might not even be top 15 anymore for economies.
Diverse.
They're like envious. There's way more ahead of us. Germany, Australia, Switzerland.
Communities, it's how we...
This literally, I mean, at least he's like still defending the concept of migration. But like, you need to start the conversation with like housing prices.
We've demonstrated that differences can and must
this is like a clip. How do you know he didn't, Hasan?
Be a source of strength, not a source of weakness for communities and society. Today,
yeah, no, he is still to the left of Kamala Harris. Borders are.
We're announcing that we will reduce the number.
Oh my God, I spoke too soon. Oh,
the fact this triggers Hasan is incredible. At some point, you might need to do that, dude. What are you like? This guy lives in actual fairyland. The world he's associating with here does not exist. It's just like Hassanville.
Oh, God forbid we fix the landlord problem. Oh, no. Of course. No.
These guys are so obsessed with just communist garbage. The landlord problem. What do you propose? Nationalizing housing? Rent caps? How does that work throughout history?
Oh, I spoke too soon. Oh my God. Oh, this is literally, this is it. Okay. This is it. You fix housing, you win permanently. To be fair, companies were using immigrants as cheap labor. Yeah. How is that the immigrants' fault, man? Okay. There you go.
It's not, dude. He's like actually fighting a fake person. He's fighting a ghost. I don't know. Almost nobody thinks it's the problem of people coming here for a better life, sold a false promise. It's not their fault.
Yo, fix that. You can fix that as well. Labor protections for migrants.
Of immigrants we bring in over the next 3 years, which will result in a pause in the population growth over the next 2 years.
By the way, the Trudeau Liberals have been 100% YIMBY for years now, and their YIMBYism has not put a dent in the housing costs at all. It almost feels like you need to build social housing rather than just housing across the board and just be like, you can set the prices whichever way you want, sirs. Those are just normal market conditions. Duh. That's how it works. I don't get it. Yeah. EB's be like, we need a public-private partnership.
2 years.
Trudeau and
Does he think like people are trying that? Does he think there's social housing, like the government builds a bunch of housing? That doesn't work. Those things don't get maintained throughout other countries, throughout history. Ideas like that just do not work.
announced that they'll change course. They'll lower the number of new arrivals to slow population growth. He admitted he was wrong.
We didn't get the balance quite right.
When he took office, there was already a 3-decade-long lack of investment in affordable housing. There were building challenges and supply chain issues, but as PM, he bears the burden of responsibility. It was his choice to allow entry to such large numbers of immigrants, growing the population and adding pressure to...
People will be like, oh, rent control doesn't work. People then don't like do more development because everything's geared towards capitalism. And it's like, yeah, I don't want private companies to do the development. I want a public jobs program. Okay. Government funded, good paying, decent wages, good benefits, a pension plan for everybody to build motherfucking houses. Get to work. Okay. Get to work. Get to work. Big dog, you're sitting around.
They've tried this in other countries, though, at different times throughout history. Those buildings do not get maintained. You need a profit incentive. It's just, yeah.
Online, getting sweaty, getting fat, growing out that goddamn neck beard. Your ass is covered in acne from sitting on the same crusty...
At least Hasan, though, is giving a take now. Like, at least he's trying to address the actual problem. He's not just virtue signaling about anti-immigrant sentiment. Like, throw your ideas in the hat. Something has to be fixed on housing. So at least I appreciate the fact he's finally engaging with the content of the video. What are we, like 40 minutes into this video or something? He's finally engaging.
He has gamer chair talking about, these immigrants are coming over and taking the jobs that I want to take. Get to work, dude.
Nobody is saying that. Hasan, again, Hasan is a clown. He should be way better than this. He's so popular. He's got a massive platform. He's just arguing against something that nobody's saying. Again, like if you're somebody that just sitting here blaming like some dude coming in from, say, India, trying to create a better life for himself, it's not obviously that guy's fault. If you're thinking that it is, that's just an incredibly low IQ point of view.
You're going to like it. You're going to get paid a ton, and you're going to build houses. Okay? In the words of Britney Spears, you better work. Government housing. Government housing. Okay? Stop all foreign aid for a government-funded housing program. Stop all foreign aid for a government housing. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a good way. We already have a jobs program. It's called the American Military. Okay? I bet you motherfuckers be way happier building.
Again, is that in Hasan's worldview, is that not a xenophobic point of view? Stop all foreign aid for a government housing program? Would that not be considered like xenophobic, just dislike of other countries? If you just stop funding every other country, you stop building wells in Africa, stop funding Ukraine, etc. Does that not break Hasan's brain or no? He's just going to move past that?
Homes than, going out there and having their dick shot off, controlling key resources for CIA black budget programs like poppy fields, What's better, the thrill of blowing up an Afghan village with air support or building houses? No, housing safety requirements are the issue. I could build so many houses if I didn't have safety requirements. Yeah, you're right. The real problem is I can't build dog shit houses that crumble. I mean, look at Florida, man. They're doing that over there. It's pretty good. They cut through that red tape real quick. Dude, let me tell you, I want ghost cities, okay? I want Chinese style ghost cities. Those motherfuckers were doing tricks out there. They were literally building cities that look like Paris and shit. That was a flex, okay? They were like, oh, is housing is housing a human right, or is it an asset simply to be traded in the market? And at first, everyone's like, oh, it's an asset to be traded in the market. Nope. No, it's not. Guess what? Housing is for living in it, okay? That's what it's for. Wrong. I want ghost cities. Okay. I want so much housing. I want so much housing that we have ghost cities and we're like, what's going on? We do have ghost cities in America, by the way. It's just those aren't new cities that were built and are now becoming populated. It's just old towns that were industry towns that relied on whatever that key industry was that off when manufacturing went away. So let's make some ghost cities to put people in.
Judy, how?
What is he talking about? Like China? Cities that, like cities to nowhere, roads to nowhere? Make ghost cities? Just this, like building a home or building just residential properties in general is an incredibly expensive and difficult process. That's the problem. Hasan's talking about it like it's just putting up like a tent.
Housing market. The affordability of housing and the cost of living in general are very visible signs of a deteriorating living standard. In 2019, 19% of Canadians felt that Canada was extremely unequal. That is now up to 38%. To the question,
I actually can't believe it was only 19% back in 2019. Again, a lot of Canada's problems have just been going under the surface, and Canada's been so focused on the vibes and stuff like that.
whether the cost of living is now worse, the number rose from 66% in 2019 to 84% in 2024. And I'm still just scratching the surface. Canada. This was a real change. I hope that you learned something or found this video entertaining. Yesterday,
I didn't. I'm not gonna lie. Like I mean I learned how bad the housing is, but I also learned that, you know, Canadians are blaming the same that we are over.
Where is he even getting that from? The guy just brought up immigration. Hasan is just lacing this with his own worldview, not even realizing it.
Over here, it's goddamn immigrants, brother. Big drop in immigration targets will cut population, reduce.
It's just the math of it, dude. It's the math. That's all that the guy's bringing up. If you bring in millions of people, but you don't create houses, that's just economics 101. Housing prices are going to go up. There's way more demand. Does Hasan, honest question, does he understand that? I don't think he does.
Need to build more homes, Ottawa says. Nice.
A new report from the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives lays out a deeply troubling picture of housing in Canada.
Okay, now if Hasan has a problem with what this guy's about to say, because I've seen this dude on TikTok, this guy's incredibly left-wing from what I've seen on TikTok. Like, we'll see if Hasan has a problem with him.
In every province west of Quebec, the average number of hours at minimum wage required to make rent is at least 80. Think about that for just a second. That means minimum wage isn't even...
No wonder these want to separate, dog. What the hell? I'm back on it. I'm back on it, dude. I'm back on it, dude. Separate my beautiful Quebec. I'm Kexit. I'm Kexit, dude. Quebexit. Vive Quebec libre.
Isn't even enough to cover half of...
Yeah. Give Alberta to the United States of America, okay? It's already here. Spiritually, it's ours anyway. Like, mentally, we've already taken over. Might as well just make it permanent, you know, Goal on Heights style.
Your average living age.
I, by the way, just do not agree with that. Alberta is not, maybe in like small town Alberta, maybe Edmonton more so, parts of Edmonton. I don't see Alberta as that American. I see them as being completely different. Maybe of the major provinces, it's culturally the most similar to America, but I just don't agree. I don't see that.
Expenses. And it's gotten worse over recent years. There isn't a single province where the minimum wage is enough for the rent on a one-bedroom apartment. And in several provinces like BC and Alberta, it's not enough by nearly half. And when you break it down by cities, it gets even worse. In Vancouver right now, the minimum wage is $15.65. But in order to afford a one-bedroom rental, you would need to be making $32.36 an hour. In Toronto, $15.50 and $33.62. These are not cities that people can live in. If you can't afford to live there off of the money you make working there, what's the point? And the problem isn't just one of pricing, it's also one of availability. In the vast majority of the cities looked at, they're...
all of a sudden, a lot of Canadian chatters being like, hey, why don't we go back to America? You wanted me to cover Canadian politics for weeks on end, and then when I start talking about it, it gets real for you, huh? All of a sudden, you're like, I'm depressed. Can we talk about how stupid America is? What happened?
That's actually that was probably the first Hasan W in this video. That's actually funny. So I'm depressed. Let's talk about something else.
Canadians, you don't like a healthy dose of your
Simply were not affordable places available. There are basically 0 2-bedroom units available in an affordable range and almost no 1-bedroom units either. And this affects a huge number of people.
Yeah, see, look at those numbers. 0. There are 0 units available for people on minimum wage. So it's not about anti-immigrant sentiment. It's about people can't afford life. They literally can't afford to live, dude.
Affordable places available.
And Hasan wants to say, stop blaming the immigrants. Just makes that up out of nowhere.
There are basically 0 2-bedroom units available.
And again, to be clear, he literally made that up. I don't know where he got that from in that video. And if he just cherry-picked one thing out of context, that's again on him. He's just saying that entire video is about something that it's obviously not.
In an affordable range and almost no 1-bedroom units either. And this affects a huge number of people. There are 828,000 people living in Canada right now off of minimum wage in single-income households. 1.13 million people doing the same off of 2-income households. A massive portion of our population is living insecurely because they simply can't afford a home, even though they are potentially working full-time. Which raises the important question, what even is the point of a minimum wage if it isn't a livable wage? If the minimum wage that you make for working 40 hours in a week isn't enough to pay for rent, groceries, and the basic necessities of life, then why aren't we raising the minimum wage? Why are we requiring people?
Because we don't have a strong enough economy. That's the truth. Our economy, like GDP per capita since 2015, but even just, I'm picking that number because that's when Trudeau was elected, but it's just true. Like say 2014, whatever, we're a flat economy. We need way more economic growth. And our government, we're doing things like carbon taxes and even capping production, capping pollution in our biggest industry of oil and gas. It's ridiculous. We need way more economic growth. You can't just tell companies that are already struggling to raise minimum wage. So many Canadian companies are already battling. We really have very few major success stories in our country. Companies like Lululemon, companies like Shopify. There's not that many stories like that. There's so many. You can't just raise minimum wage into a poor economy. We need the whole pie to actually start growing. At least America, for all of its problems, the pie in America is still growing. Our pie is just chilling. Just a cold pumpkin pie right now.
People to work more than 100 hours a week in Vancouver, Toronto, Kelowna, Victoria, Ottawa, Halifax, and Calgary in order to have a place to live. This is the sign of a country that is not prioritizing housing. It is prioritizing profiting off of housing. So we're not.
It's literally the same. Dude. Everyone is so everywhere. It's the same exact damn issue, bro. Oh my God. Oh, we are so stupid.
It's not, though. It's worse. It's similar, but it's worse in Canada than it is in America by far. Canada is actually uniquely bad. If you look at a chart of our housing compared to the other like G7 countries and major economies of the world, we are uniquely brutal in housing.
We need communism now. We need communism yesterday. We need communism tomorrow. Decommodify housing. Decommodify it. It's so goddamn holy shit. Americans don't even have health care. We don't even have health care, dude. It's so bad. Oh, leader.
We need communism, according to Hasan.
Dear leader Xi Jinping, please save us. Donald Trump, save me. Xi Jinping, save me. Save me, Xi Jinping. Like, how dire is the situation that people literally look to these alarming housing prices and go, you know what we got to do? Deport migrants. Like, that's Donald Trump's policy prescription. He's like, yeah, we're going to deport 20 million undocumented immigrants, dude. And that'll open up the...
And again, keep in mind, this guy's a multi-millionaire political streamer with takes like that. Anyone can become rich, apparently, on the internet.
That'll open up the housing, for sure. They're not landlords, dumbass. Unless every undocumented immigrant was a landlord, you're not fixing shit. You understand me? Like, what are we talking about?
You understand me?
Unless every single undocumented migrant was also a big landlord, you're not fixing it. You do a better job deporting like
like how he's just so convinced of this too. Just can't even consider that this is just communist garbage. And maybe he's incorrect if he looks at all of history, but he's so committed to this.
BlackRock executives than goddamn migrants. Yeah, deport the land.
Why are you talking about BlackRock? Talk about Canada.
Lords, dude. You're missing the point. Canada doesn't deport like the US of A. It's not documented versus undocumented immigrants. What the fuck? No, in America it is. In Canada, it's just migrants. Documented migrants. But it comes from the same place, chatter. The difference between a documented or undocumented migrant is just literally paperwork. You understand? The notion that it's their fault that the housing prices look like this.
Again, I don't want to make the same point over and over, but Hasan is really tripling, quadrupling down on this.
Is coming from the same racist place. That's my point. Is fear of the other. Simply put, yes, the issue Canada has isn't about illegals. Oh my God. There is nothing that is fundamentally different between the humanity of an undocumented migrant and a documented migrant. You understand that? I guess you're not understanding about putting priority on companies owning.
Now he's acting like it's other people not understanding. Dude, he just made this entire video. This entire video I've done, this is a pretty long video. Hasan basically he either misunderstands it, which I think he actually does, or he's just lying because he thinks that his audience will appreciate whatever he's saying right now about the video being anti-immigrant.
What? Versus building affordable homes?
Not going to build affordable housing. We're not going to raise wages. So where are people supposed to go? There is no plan to help people. And until there is, this is only going to get worse.
People don't need a plan. They need results.
Republicans' housing problem is that their neighbor is brown? No, that's not true. Okay, what about the brown Republicans that voted for the Republicans? You can't... You're operating on the old dynamic, chatter. You know? Ultimately, this is an EU issue too. I know.
So that's the end of that. Anyway, that was kind of interesting. I thought Hasan, I'd give him like a 3 out of 10. Just terrible takes. I think he just fundamentally misunderstood the video. But again, he's just caught in his like communist woke ideology, I think. Yeah. Anyway, with that said, I'll finish the video here. But if you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.